this year. And basically, the report found that over 5 years, the surface fleet found big dips in the main propulsion systems, the plants that produce the power that push the ships through the water, as well as the electrical and aviation systems. The Aegis systems, which are the sensors and software and missiles that protect the ship from air threats, has shown signs of slipping over the last 5 years. Apparently, according to experts in Israel, the Patriot missile isn't the huge success we were all told it was. It's one of the reasons why they went developing their own Iron Dome system, because apparently during Operation Desert Storm, they're now saying that the Patriot missile only intercepted a tiny, tiny percentage of the incoming Scud missiles from Iraq, which had actually been reported at the end of the Iraq War, but was not covered by the corporate media. All righty. We already talked about people unable to pay rent. Millions are risking losing their power over unpaid utilities because most states' pandemic grace period is now on the edge of expiring. So millions of Americans are facing being without power or water. Their utility bills have piled up, and state and local protections which allowed for deferred payments have come to an end. Now, after a summer of rising unemployment numbers brought on by the crisis, through seeing a promising potential softening of the trend in September, the Washington Post recently detailed some instances of people going as much as 2 months in the dark after falling behind on utility payments last spring. It is getting dire out there. All righty. Companies including Burger King, Pizza Hut, and H&M are announcing store closures, putting 30,000 jobs at risk. Okay. A group of Republican senators is asking the Congressional Budget Office to review the cost to Americans of a Democratic plan that provides United States jobs, stimulus checks, and taxpayer-funded health care to illegal aliens. You know, I'm one of these America First people. I think the Democrats ought to be concerned about taking care of legal American citizens, but I guess they really don't care about that at all. They want those illegals to come in because they're guaranteed to be Democratic voters, even though they're not supposed to vote. So back in last May, House Democrats passed 2 versions of the HEROES Act, which offers amnesty to several million illegal aliens who can be deemed as working critical infrastructure jobs in the U.S. and thus cannot be deported. The Democrats' first version passed in last May, offered a similar amnesty, giving businesses the ability to hire cheaper illegal aliens for scarce U.S. jobs, even as tens of millions of Americans remain unemployed. They have tried to pass a new, updated one, and this is what's prompted the Republicans to refer the matter to the Congressional Budget Office. All righty. Reporters are claiming that Facebook is censoring information on the Julian Assange case. Now, Craig Murray, former British ambassador to Uzbekistan and confidant of Julian Assange, has been reporting on the Australian publisher's extradition hearing to the United States. Yet few people have been reading it. And this is, according to Murray, because of a deliberate decision by online media giants to downplay or suppress discussion of the case. Now, I don't know about you, but I am definitely fed up with these so-called media giants deciding what we can and cannot say or cannot read online. It's certainly not the spirit the original internet was created in, which was unfettered, uncontrollable, uncensored news peer-to-peer. Somehow we've all been suckered in to sending all of our traffic through Facebook and YouTube and Instagram and the rest of it, all of which are now subject to censorship to preserve the government's point of view on everything. So getting on back to Craig Murray, on his blog, he wrote that he usually receives around 50% of his readers from Twitter, 40% from Facebook links, but that has dropped to 3% and 9% respectively during the hearing. Okay. Now, Tulsi Gabbard, who's a Democrat from Hawaii, who I thought was pretty good despite being a Democrat. She's gaining support from Republican colleagues in calling for the U.S. government to drop its criminal cases against Julian Assange and Edward Snowden. Now, along with Representative Thomas Massie, Kentucky Republican, she introduced a resolution last Friday urging the U.S. to drop all charges and efforts to extradite Mr. Assange. Representative Matt Gaetz, Florida Republican, joined the Democrat days earlier by co-sponsoring a similar resolution asking the U.S. to drop its case against Mr. Snowden, who's also wanted for leaking. Now, here is why this is so important, okay? Neither Assange nor Snowden are guilty of espionage as the espionage code was originally written. They are publishers. More about this when we come back from these words from our sponsor.
Is your property a financial burden and causing you grief? Have you tried to sell but can't find buyers? Or are you just too busy to sell your property? Don't worry, we have the right solution for you. We buy properties as is, with cash, close in 30 days, and pay all closing costs. Our service is ideal for property owners who are in pre-foreclosure, have high-end repair costs, experiencing financial hardship, going through costly divorces, are relocating, need cash for retirement, suffering family loss, or have tax liens. Whatever your situation may be, we can help you sell your property and get the money you need. If you own a single-family home or multiple family units, call us for a free consultation at 888-910-1037. That's 888-910-1037. Or visit our website at cashingproperty.com. That's cashingproperty.com. Sell your property fast and leave all your worries behind.
Folks, we're living in a world the likes of which we've never perceived any clearer than we do now. The plan for global governance has been in the works for generations and would have likely been achieved by now, but for the fact that the globalists left open their Achilles heel. With all their tools, Federal Reserve System, fiat currency, no child left behind, and then Common Core education introduced to our schools to dumb us down, vaccines, pharmaceuticals to lobotomize us, GMO foods, insertion of compromised or bought and paid for politicians, judges, mainstream media propaganda, all pieced together like a puzzle designed to ultimately bring the world under submission. But with all their strategy, they forgot one thing: knowledge. And knowledge is power. With knowledge, their bombardment is nullified. Folks, with that, as brilliant and knowledgeable as you've become, among the wisest audience of any radio audience in the world, and you are, I want you to take a moment to reflect and ask yourself, how much of that knowledge did I obtain from Republic Broadcasting Network? How high has my consciousness been raised since I've been a listener? How fast am I now able to discriminate truth from fake news by being a Republic Broadcasting listener? How clear am I now able to see the world since I've been listening to RBN? Ask yourselves those questions, folks. Then ask yourself, what is that knowledge worth to me? Like my morning coffee, how would I survive without it? A voice of truth in a sea of lies. Do we not all need to make sure it survives? Like public broadcasting, we are now finding we can only survive with listener support. Censorship, advertisers being attacked, truth itself being attacked. It's the only way through this. We at Republic Broadcasting humbly ask you to become a supporter. Look at your budget and make a determination of what Republic Broadcasting is worth to you and what you can afford on a monthly basis. Go to republicbroadcasting.org and pledge 20, 30, 40, 50, if possible, 100 a month or more if it's affordable. Click the donate button and become a regular monthly donor. Assure both us and yourself that Republic Broadcasting truth will continue to flow like that morning coffee. The network thanks you.
When all this twisted steel was swept away, did these remaining holes reveal what's really happened?
Welcome back to our show here, and a friendly reminder that Republic Broadcasting Network is in the middle of a perpetual fundraiser. And first and foremost, thanks to everybody who has been donating, because donations are coming in. I wish I could say it was enough and you can quit, but I would be lying, and I'm not going to lie to you. We need the help of those of you who have not yet donated. And please remember, there's no such thing as too small a donation. So grab your pencil and paper, because the postal address to send a check, money order, or if you prefer anonymity cash, is Republic Broadcasting Network, 2251 Double Creek Drive, number 302, Round Rock, Texas, 78664. The phone number where you can make a credit or debit card donation is 800-724-2719, extension 3. The network thanks you. I thank you. Okay. All right, so we're talking about Julian Assange and we're talking about Edward Snowden. Let's start with Julian Assange first. This is a very critical case, and if it moves forward and Assange is convicted, it is going to have a chilling effect on all media, corporate media, independent media, because Julian Assange was a publisher, and the material that he published was leaked to him. He did not solicit it, okay? Now, the idea that, the charge that he hacked into some government computers fell apart in the extradition hearing over in Great Britain. Apparently, he didn't have the tools necessary to do that. But what they're really trying to get him for is publishing materials that were embarrassing to the United States government. Well, if the government is the servant of the people, then we have every right to know when it does something that is immoral, illegal, or simply embarrassing. We're supposed to have transparency. The government works for us, not the other way around. And so Assange did what courageous publishers have done in the past. I think the Washington Post and the Pentagon Papers, and Catherine Graham. Now, as far as Edward Snowden is concerned, what he did, yeah, it crosses a couple of legal lines, but he definitely had good intentions. And there used to be whistleblower protection laws in this country, but they've all been struck down. I remember right after the accidental shootdown of TWA 800, that President Clinton revoked whistleblower protection for all members of the Navy along the Atlantic seaboard, which told you right there that something was up. So we can keep our fingers crossed, but I love the fact that Tulsi Gabbard is getting support in Congress to get the charges dropped. Now, all they can do is advise and pass a resolution. They don't have the authority to change what's going on because that's under the executive branch, and we have that separation of powers doctrine to get around here. All righty. The CEOs of Facebook, Google, and Twitter are expected to testify at an October 28th Senate hearing on several issues, including the anti-conservative bias on their platforms. And I'm sure all three of them are going to say, there's no anti-conservative bias. It's fake news put out by those independent media people like Republic Broadcasting and WhatReallyHappened.com here. All right. Now, the House and Senate are both pushing forward with the so-called Earn It Act. This is a bill that will undermine encryption and free speech online. Attorney General William Barr and the Department of Justice have demanded for years that messaging services give the government special access to users' private messages. If Earn It passes, Barr will likely get his wish, and law enforcement agencies will be able to scan every message sent online. Of course, you can use your own encryption. And in my Rivero Challenges the NSA article, there are some code snippets that you can learn from. Of course, if they're scanning your messaging service traffic and they see something that's encrypted, that's going to get the attention of the investigative agencies. And they're going to say, why are you using encryption? I'm sending my Aunt Mary's top secret chocolate chip cookie recipe to a friend, and I don't want you guys getting it. All righty. Johnson & Johnson is paying out more than $100 million to settle more than 1,000 lawsuits that claim its baby powder caused cancer. The settlement was struck with multiple law firms and marks the first time the company has settled the bulk of plaintiff lawyers' cases in the baby powder suits rather than try and settle individual suits on the eve or during the trial. Now, the deals come 7 months since the company last faced a jury reviewing evidence about the cancer risk of its signature talc product. The drug maker declined to comment on the Bloomberg report of the settlement, but reiterated its talc is safe and does not contain asbestos. I don't think anybody's going to be buying that anyway. Okay, a couple of Nobel Prize announcements here. Apparently, the Nobel Prize in Chemistry was awarded to 2 women who came up. Unfortunately, I don't have it in front of me. They came up with something really cool here. But Americans Harvey Alter and Charles Rice, along with Briton Michael Houghton, won the Nobel Prize for Medicine for their discovery of the hepatitis C virus, which is going to lead to a cure. All right, we're going to take another break for commercials, and we'll be right back.
You are tuned in to the Republic Broadcasting Network. Visit our website by going to republicbroadcasting.org.
Homeowners, if your lender has gone out of business or sold your transaction to another lender or servicer, you may be the victim of a wrongful foreclosure, resulting in the loss of your home. If you've already lost your home, are in foreclosure, or even in good standing, you can challenge the mortgage transaction's illegal issue, and your property can be restored to you, and your foreclosure can be stopped or reversed, and the mortgage transaction declared unenforceable. State laws, U.S. title codes, the Uniform Commercial Codes, and U.S. Supreme Court rulings have upheld that defective mortgage documentations can reverse or stop foreclosures and enforce property title claims in favor of the homeowner. We are having successes in stopping the process of foreclosure, the enforcement of the foreclosure judgments, the sale of property, and evictions after the sale. We are not attorneys, and we don't give legal advice. We are a professional team of legal researchers, providing forensic mortgage audits and expert witnesses. We have the knowledge to produce the evidence and enforce laws regarding your legal issues. We've been in business for 12 years without a complaint. Consultations are free, and we provide a free title search to confirm if your mortgage has legal defects. Please call 855-253-3748. 855, the number 2, keep it today.
Hello, I'm Dr. Leonard Horowitz. I was right 30 years ago in warning the world about threatening lab virus outbreaks, AIDS, and Ebola. I was right 20 years ago when FBI Director Robert Mueller made me a suspect in the anthrax mailings because I warned the Bureau before the CIA's biocrime and Cipro sales psyops happened. I was right about COVID-19 being an AIDS-laced mutagen planned to resurge this fall to excuse officials' profitable depopulation globalization agendas. And I was right about the only safeguards being antioxidants and holy spiritual sustenance. Vitamin C, D, zinc, chlorophyll, oxygen, and oxysilver especially transmits the frequency resonance to neutralize the expanded function bioweapon. Oxysilver is a double superconductor of the healing power of love. It is the first nutraceutical invented to amplify prayer power and the faithful, loving intention of your heart. Buy, try, and stockpile Oxysilver through healthyworldstore.com.
Corporate media dominates the American opinion. Finding independent voices that counter this avalanche is becoming increasingly difficult. With the endless corruption running rampant throughout our government, independent voices are needed more than ever to battle the offensive against our freedoms and liberties. As a listener of RBN, no one understands this concept better than you. Now it's up to you to do your part. The time has come for you to take action and begin broadcasting the truth to hundreds or thousands of people every month. Sound impossible? Quite the contrary. With pointed slogans from LibertyStickers.com, you can reach countless sleeping Americans unaware that they live in a real-life wonderland. LibertyStickers.com has a huge inventory of political bumper stickers and messages that reflect the truth about our government, our politicians, and the future of America. With so many in stock, there's one perfect for you. Visit us today at LibertyStickers.com. Again, that's LibertyStickers.com. Do your part. Your voice is important. Let it be heard.
We the people, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves
Welcome back to our show here. And I went back and I found the article that I was referring to. 2 women scientists won the 2020 Nobel Prize for Chemistry. They discovered a new method for genome editing called CRISPR-Cas9. And these are scientists Emmanuel Charpentier and Jennifer Doudna. And they both worked on the discovery of CRISPR-Cas9. And only 5 women have previously won the Nobel Prize for Chemistry, despite the award first being handed out in 1901. So good for them. And then getting on back to this Nobel Prize for these 3 scientists who helped them identify the hepatitis C virus, which is expected to lead to a cure. I know they're out there pushing the hepatitis C vaccine at us, and Claire and I both said no here. And then finally, the Nobel Prize for Physics went to a trio of scientists who discovered an ultramassive black hole and effectively proved Einstein right about those. And this was Roger Penrose, Reinhard Genzel, and Andrea Ghez. And they are the newest Nobel winners. They were unveiled actually earlier yesterday. And the trio will split the $1.1 million prize. All righty. Okay, we're going to go ahead and start grabbing some phone calls. The phone lines are open, 800-313-9443. Joe in California, welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hello, Mike. I was really overjoyed to hear Layla check in, her call from yesterday. Lovely Layla, I call her.
Yes.
I think, I'll tell you, she always has something interesting to say, and she's tough too, Mike. She gave it to you yesterday. Tough lady.
Yes, she did.
And I could not think of a better person than to be leading the Palestinian Authority than Layla. We should get Mahmoud Abbas, Abu Mazen. We need to get him out of there, sweep him out, and all those other corrupt Palestinian officials, and put Layla at the top.
Sounds good to me.
Mike, also, we need to hear from the Rivero Rangers man on the ground in Brazil. Mike, where are you? Mike, we need an update on the situation in Brazil as far as this COVID thing is concerned. Really need a direct account of what's happening over there.
Yes.
Mike, you mentioned the vaccine yesterday, and Ron Paul's been talking a lot about the swine flu vaccine from '76, which actually killed more people than the virus itself. But
yes,
you mentioned this COVID vaccine, and this is different than any other vaccine that they've been trying to create. In fact, W from Texas talked about it yesterday in his great call. But this vaccine, they're calling it an mRNA vaccine. You mentioned yourself yesterday that you would wait about 6 months to see how if it had any adverse effects on those those first individuals who got it. But it could be 2 to 3 years, some experts say, before you see any adverse reactions.
Yeah, that's what I was getting.
Reaction. It could be 3 to 5 years out.
Well, that's what the doctor who thinks what I'm dealing with is an adverse vaccine reaction was saying, that it can be years before the adverse reactions show up. And of course, that's great for the medical industrial complex, because they'll simply say, oh, come on, you had that vaccination 5 years ago. It couldn't possibly have anything to do with your nose falling off today.
Right. Yeah, but then if something adverse does happen, then the pharmaceuticals, big pharma, which is protected from any liability, any lawsuits, can then just say, okay, we'll just sell you the medication to treat this new problem that you have.
Yes, that we gave you.
That it was from the vaccine.
Yes.
And Mike, last question. With all this talk about a potential civil war following the elections. Yes. Do you foresee, and I heard, I listen to True News a lot. Oh, going back, I just want to comment on this too. Layla and you were discussing, Layla was talking about the protests, how the Israelis are extremely harsh on the Palestinians. You should see this video from True News about 2 days ago. These were Israeli Jewish protesters. It was the Hasidim, the Orthodox. They were being chased down in the street. They were just being manhandled. They were being mistreated like the Palestinians. And also the secular protesters who've been out protesting against Netanyahu on a weekly or daily basis. They too were being mistreated, and I mean
It's
mistreated.
getting
It was
ugly.
just
It's
awful.
getting ugly. Yeah.
So these Israeli police, they don't discriminate between Israeli Jews and Palestinians. And one of the Hasidim even yelled out Nazis. That's how bad it was.
Yes.
But last question, Mike, do you foresee any scenario, and I know this might seem crazy, but do you foresee any scenario, because it was mentioned on True News, where there are UN forces in the United States following potential violence in the U.S. after the election?
It's possible. I don't know how likely it is, but we certainly cannot rule it out.
Because if a Biden administration takes over, or even during the transition period before January, if there's a UN Security Council vote on stationing UN forces, and people say UN forces are already in the U.S., on a vote on stationing U.S. forces, any Biden administration, any transition Biden transition team would support such a vote, would support such a resolution, where a Trump administration would veto it, but a Biden administration would support it. So that it's in the back of my mind. I'm seeing that as a possibility. So just want to put that out there.
Okay. Anything else?
And Mike, how's that? How are your memoirs coming along? I'm still waiting for your autobiography.
My autobiography. I'm not writing an autobiography. I'm trying to finish Blueprint for the New America, and no, I'm not writing an autobiography.
Yeah, that's
It'd be
true.
very, very boring.
Your voting reform plan has priority for sure.
Yes, definitely. I wish somebody had been listening to it, because this coming election is just going to be the crookedest in U.S. history.
Absolutely, and it's Trump's own fault. You called for this back in 2016. You were
Yes.
on top of this from the get-go. So,
Yep.
God bless you. Thank you, Mike.
All right, thanks an awful lot. We're going to switch over to Steve in Nevada. Hello, Steve. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
So this traveling salesman is back in the Midwest somewhere, and he's on a dirt road, and he's going about 20 or 30 miles an hour.
Yep.
He looks out his window, and there's this chicken running right next to him, keeping pace.
Mm-hmm.
He looks at it, and he says, "Man, I swear that chicken's got 3 legs." He goes on, and he's going about 40, and this chicken keeping pace with him, and all of a sudden, this chicken takes off in a cloud of dust, gets in front of him, and runs down the road, runs into this driveway, and there's this farmer standing out there. So he pulls up and, "Yeah, did a chicken just run up your driveway?" "Yeah, that was one of mine." The salesman says, "Well, he was doing 40 or 50 miles an hour, and I could swear that he had 3 legs." "Yeah, that's one of mine." He said, "I breed them. I breed 3-legged chickens." He said, "Well, why is that?" "Well, you know, me and Ma, we like chickens, and we both like the drumsticks, and everything was fine till Junior came along, and then we got to fighting over the drumstick every night, so I started breeding these 3-legged chickens." And our salesman says, "So how do they taste?" And the farmer says, "I don't know. I haven't been able to catch one of them yet."
Yeah. I saw that one coming way off of home plate. All right. Anything else?
Well, I want to know if you know anything about the Georgia Guidestones.
Yeah, I know of them.
Yeah, they're in Georgia. This guy, like in 1980, spent a lot of money, and they got some big, huge slabs of stone, and they got like the modern 10 Commandments. And the first one was something about keep the population below 500 million.
Yes.
And it's in 10 different languages. And it's a mystery to this day who paid for it and all that. But it goes on to say, you know, love beauty, love this, and I don't know. I just find it fascinating. But you know, I'm not even going to talk about the virus. I've just been beaten to death. But I really love your show, and I look forward to it every day. But you have a good
thank
one.
you very much. All right. Well, thanks an awful lot for the phone call. We're going to let you go, and we have another Steve, this one calling from West Virginia. Hello, Steve. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Yeah, hi, Mike. I'm wondering if you've been following this stimulus thing very close.
Yes, I have. We were reporting on it earlier in the show.
Okay. Well, we noticed, I mean, this guy supposedly wrote a book called The Art of the Deal on how he's such a guru on making these deals and stuff. So yesterday he comes out and announces that he's cutting off all talks with the Democrats, that
Yes.
that their counter proposal is just nowhere near what Trump and the Republicans want. So we go into the late afternoon, early night, and the market starts to drop a little bit. And
Yes.
immediately, Mike, he walks back. And he walks back the proposal and says, we'll make a deal with the airlines and all that stuff. I mean, the guy is terrible. He doesn't know. He couldn't.
I disagree. I have to disagree. I mean, Nancy Pelosi had this attitude of, we will not deal. It's our way or the highway. And finally, Trump just had enough of that. I mean, Trump and the GOP kept coming back with counter proposals, and Nancy Pelosi said, no, it's the whole package or none. And finally, Trump called her bluff on it and said none. And now he's come back with a stimulus-only bill. And Pelosi's supporters are saying, please support this. We need the money. And she's out there screaming that this is just a stunt so that Trump can mail out all these checks with his name on it, forgetting that the vast majority of the stimulus is done by direct bank deposit, and that there were actually very few paper checks with anybody's name on them.
True, very true, very true. But why didn't he do that from the beginning? Why didn't
I think he was hoping the Democrats would, agree to shave out some of the stuff in this deal. I mean, they had stuff in there like, money for illegal immigrants, changes to the voters' law, stuff that's got nothing to do with COVID-19 or the economic hardship of the American people. Pelosi was just playing politics, taking a bill that she assumed would have to pass and just loading it up with all kinds of pork for the Democratic cities and states.
Mike, I totally agree. But what I'm trying to say is if Trump made them sweat and just said, no, followed through with what he said, I'm not talking to you until you agree. There's a lot of Democratic senators and congressmen that are in trouble, that are in these blue states that have been ravaged by the protesters and all this stuff. It would have hurt them so bad. I mean, he could hurt them so bad, but he walks, Mike, look at all the stuff he walks back. This is one of the biggest problems I have with this guy. He walks so much stuff back. He says he's going to do something, this monumental thing, and he walks it back.
I think what he did was smart because, just saying I'm not going to talk to the Democrats anymore, the Democrats could have said, well, Trump is the one who killed the stimulus deal. But now coming back and saying, I have a stimulus-only bill, will you agree to it? He's basically thrown the ball back into Pelosi's court, and Pelosi has swung and missed at it.
Okay. Mike, okay, you're going to be 100% correct if that comes true. But on the other hand, if he comes out and agrees to give some of those Democrat cities and states money, I'm going to be really pissed. And Mike, I want to say,
well, I will too, but I don't think he's going to. I think his goal is to really hammer home the point that it was the Democrats who were getting in the way of this latest stimulus payment, and that is definitely going to resonate with the voters. I mean, the latest polls are showing the economy is the top issue for the voters of the United States.
Of course. Mike, I got one other quick thing. And okay, now you've been hearing, I don't know if you've heard this lately, but they're saying that this Gina Haspel won't release the documents at the CIA. Okay.
Yep.
Trump picked her, and not only did he pick her, but he go on and on how she was such a great pick. And he does this all the time. He picks these people, and then they turn around and screw them right in the back. This guy from the Homeland Security Department, Chad, whatever his name is, same thing. He's already screwing Trump. I mean, I don't get it. Why is this happening?
Well, Trump has the authority to fire these people, and I wish he would. I wish he'd fire, Gina Haspel. I mean, her, they made a big deal about it. She's a woman and she's in charge of the CIA now, but I think she should be fired. for definitely blocking documents demanded by the executive branch. And I don't know where that Trump is that we saw on The Apprentice has gone, the one who loved to say you're fired, because we certainly need him right now.
Yeah, Mike, there's all sorts of testimony out on her where people that were, torture victims
Yeah.
say that she's the worst person behind torture they've ever seen. And Trump I don't understand why he keeps picking these people. It's almost like a scam, Mike. I mean, why does he keep picking these people?
Well, he was being fed bad information by people he thought he could trust. And again, Trump coming into office, he was very naive back in 2016. I'm probably pretty sure that he's not as naive now. But he came on in, he wanted to be magnanimous. He kept the Obama holdovers and just assumed that since he was now the new boss, they would be loyal for him and work for him. But that's not the way it works in DC.
Yeah. Okay. Last thing, Mike. Do you think he's going to win?
I think in a normal, fair, balanced, honest election where the illegal immigrants are not allowed to vote, he would win in a landslide. Unfortunately, the Democrats have basically telegraphed they're going to steal this thing by any means necessary.
So you think Biden's going to win then?
I think Biden and his people are going to steal it. I'm not going to say he's going to win.
That's going to be terrible.
Yes, it will be.
You know what, Mike? It's going to be Trump's fault. It's going to be nobody but Trump's fault. He had a long time to put these people in jail. None of them went to jail. He could have really messed them up, and he hasn't done anything.
He could have just fixed the election system. That's his biggest failing, and it's going to come back to haunt him, because if he fails to win re-election in November, it's definitely on his head for not being more decisive about cleaning up our election system. Our election system is a global joke right now.
Yeah, and Mike, we're the ones that are really going to pay for this thing. I mean, all this draconian stuff, that they want to do.
Steve, I got to let you go. Steve, I got to let you go. We got to take a break for commercials. We'll be back with more phone calls after these two breaks.
Homeowners, are you in foreclosure, expecting to be served with a foreclosure lawsuit, or suspect your lender has coerced you into an illegal mortgage transaction? A huge number of mortgages made in the last 10 years have legal issues and are possibly defective. State laws and the U.S. Supreme Court have upheld that defective mortgage documents are grounds for foreclosure defense and for counterclaims in favor of the homeowner. If your mortgage has been sold or assigned since closing the loan, it may be defective and you may be paying the wrong party, and the lender may not have standing or the right to foreclose or collect payments under the law. If you would like to know if your mortgage is legal or not, or know if you are paying the right party, we can help. Our initial consultations are free of charge. We are not attorneys. We are legal researchers and work closely with experienced lawyers who know how to help you find the evidence to help you keep your home. Call toll-free 1-855-2-KEEP-IT. That's 1-855-2-KEEP-IT today.
Ladies and gentlemen, J.R. Moore here. We have a special promotion going on at Republic Broadcasting. This is a fundraiser for Republic Broadcasting involving the Energy Cleaner. Mail me a postcard. My address is at my website at thelibertyman.com. We pick a postcard every other Thursday. When your postcard is drawn out, you get to buy an Energy Cleaner for $215 instead of $285, $70 discount. $200 goes to Republic Broadcasting. You also get a 10% discount on my mattress pads. So get those postcards in, put your name, your telephone number, your email address on there, and when your postcard is drawn, you get an Energy Cleaner for $215 instead of $285. Mattress pads, 10% off. Help us out at Republic Broadcasting and help yourself to get an Energy Cleaner at a deep discount. It's a win-win situation for everybody. We hope you can get these postcards in soon. Thank you very much.
What would you say if I told you we have a new tool that will increase production and lower maintenance costs for your meat processing company? And it would pay for itself in just 6 weeks.
When pigs fly!
The new Ease Off Model Easy 4 replaces old spring-style carcass droppers and is faster, safer, and more reliable. The Ease Off lowers or lifts 1,000 pounds to or from your rail automatically using our remote control.
Sounds expensive. Can I afford it?
Can you afford not to try the Ease Off? It installs fast with just 3 bolts in place of your current dropper. The effortless operation will reduce fatigue and injuries, speed up your line, eliminate downtime, and increase profit.
How can I order my Ease Off?
Go to easeoff.com, EAZEOFF.com, and hurry because we are offering $200 off on the new Easy 4 for a limited time. Easeoff.com. We make pigs fly. Cows too. Ease Off LLC, Summersville, Missouri, 417-932-6419.
When all this twisted steel was swept away, did these remaining holes reveal what's really happened?
And welcome back to our show here. We're going to go back to the phones here to Mitchell in Memphis. Hello, Mitchell. Welcome back to the show. What's on your mind today?
Hello, Mike. I'm going to set a record for your show, the shortest phone call of all time. I'm going to say one thing. Coronavirus is very, very dangerous. Do not take it. Repeat, do not take it. Thank you, Mike.
All right. Thank you. I assume you mean the coronavirus vaccine. Because Claire and I may not have had the choice about whether we're going to have coronavirus or not. Well, time will solve that mystery. Okay, we're going to switch over to David in Boston. Hello, David. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind today?
Quiana, Mike. Oh, instead of aloha, you get a Quiana this afternoon.
Okay.
The Alaska Eskimo. Mike, I was calling in about like yesterday's show. I told the screener, Mike, and he said, no, I need something like, and he named some things. So I said, okay, say politics. So, but Mike, I thought Layla yesterday was very unfair to you. She did end her call on a conciliatory note, so I have to give her that. But to characterize you as being unfair and never holding a role, and you make her out to be a bothering idiot, and Mike, you're the most gracious. I think you're the most gracious talk show host I've ever encountered.
Well, thank you.
Layla has to understand. Talk show hosts aren't perfect, but maybe when she becomes perfect, talk show hosts will become perfect. She has to let you know that she wants to be held over. You're not a mind reader, and
Yes.
I've never heard you. You always hold everybody over if they request that, unless you have a special guest like Lady Claire or something, and then you
Yes.
announce it in advance that I won't be holding anyone over because Lady Claire or some special guest is going to be on. But I couldn't believe that she talked to you that way, Mike. And I think the listening audience, all your regular callers, will agree with me. The only thing I can be thankful for that she did end on a conciliatory note, but she really, I don't know, it was so unfair, just so unfair. She so mischaracterized you, almost like assassinating your character and everything, and so on. And none of it was true, Mike. But the way you handled it too, with the gracious person that you are, you handled it so graciously. I was waiting for you to almost get your Irish up a little bit and start to get ticked off. But you just calmly say, okay, Layla, well, in the future I'll always hold you over, and you were so nice to her. Maybe that's why she finally ended in a conciliatory note. But
well, I don't think I promised I would always hold her over, just that I'd be more sensitive to the issue. When I hold people over, it's because they have made clear that there is something more they want to say. And if it sounds like they've come to a natural conclusion, when we hit a commercial break, especially if the phone lines are loaded up, I'm going to say, I need to let you go because, I do want to keep I want to get everybody on the air, and I don't want one person dominating it all. Anyway, listen, David, do you have more that you need to share?
What, can you hold me over, Mike? Is that the music?
Yeah, that's the music. We're going to hold you over. We're going to do station identification, and we'll be back with hour number 2 after these few words.
Hey gang, Patrick Slattery here with an important message that is pertinent to anyone who shops for groceries, eats food, or just has an inquisitive mind like myself. What I'm about to introduce you to is a segment of our food culture that has been kept so low profile to the American public that virtually no one is aware of how dominant it is on our refrigerator and cupboard shelves. What I'm talking about is the kosher certification industry and a new app, Koshertified, that delivers a comprehensive education on all aspects regarding this little-known practice. After reviewing this app, I found that it is useful for practically anyone who purchases food, regardless of their religious faith or identity. Its database of products not kosher certified is a win-win convenience for all food-conscious people. So why not check out the kosherquestion.com or click on the link at nationalbugle.com and see how modifying your grocery shopping with the Koshertified app can make a huge difference for your future.
You're listening to the Republic Broadcasting Network, because you can handle the truth.
What really happened with your host, Mike Rivero. You're listening to the Republic Broadcasting Network, where you'll find out what the Fukushima's going on.
And welcome back to our show here. Hour number 2. The phone lines are open, 800-313-9443. And we're talking with David in Boston. And David, you had something else to share with us.
Yeah, Mike, I was just going to say, now, another person I think that was dealt unfairly yesterday was me. And I love Tommy Gun Tom. I never called him AK-47. I don't know where he came up with that one. But and I can hear, you know, if I give it out, I have to be able to take it. So, you know, depth charge Dave, I'm comfortable with that because I have a lot of depth and I'm always charged up. So I always have a lot to remark. But I felt Tom was really unfair to me, Mike, in the sense he started saying all these things I never talk about. Well, I don't talk about these liberal politicians up there like the fake Indian there, Elizabeth Warren and all these Blumenthal. I don't, because they're beneath my contempt. I don't talk about that scum. That's and then the thing about saying why doesn't he ever talk about the COVID-19 coming from China, Mike? To make sure that people don't forget that it came from China, I started calling it the Fu Man flu, and I gave even Dr. Fauci his Chinese name, Dr. Fauci Chi. I mean, I don't know if Tom's a great talker, but I don't think he's the best listener. Nobody's kept a monkey on China's back more than me. That's why I say the Fu Man flu and Dr. Fauci Chi and everything. And so Donald Trump isn't my idol, and Tom's just going to have to live with that. I don't condemn him because he's a big supporter of Donald Trump. So, you know, and then he said some other, just so unfair to me and everything, mischaracterizing me and everything, you know, but I still really like Tom a lot and everything. And, you know, and the last thing maybe, Michael, I'll say is, you know, Mike, you don't have to be a Bible thumper to believe that pride cometh to believe that pride cometh before the fall. Just because that's in the Bible, you don't have to be a Bible thumper to believe that. But here's my prediction, Mike. I think Trump's gonna lose the election. That's where I'm going on record as.
I fear you may be correct. And again, it's not that he's losing the election; it's being stolen from him.
Right. No, I agree with that, Mike. But in any case, in any case, this all his pride and all this, everything's great, and he's great, and he's going to make America great. Not, it's overweening pride. And however he loses the election, I predict he's going to lose it. I agree with you, though. It'll be because of voter fraud and everything. But I think he's a one-termer, and then he's going to have to go out to his private golf course, and he's going to have to suck golf balls. Or I'll give him another choice. He can go out to one of his private kosher casinos, kosher casinos, and he can go out there and he can play solitaire all by himself. So he can either suck golf balls, or he can play solitaire all by himself. But I don't think he's going to occupy the White House for 4 more years. Now I know I've gotten Tom's rancor up now. So has Tom called in yet today?
No, not yet, but I'm expecting him to momentarily.
Okay, I've sung to Tom's win. Now I'm ready to reap the world's win. So thanks for taking my call, Mike. And
all right, you've got it there. Thank you for the phone call. And we're going to switch over to Pat in Fort Worth. Hello, Pat. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hi. Well, I have an idea. Since he's positive, Mike Lee, he's on the Senate Judiciary Committee, and he's also on a subcommittee that's it's an antitrust. The other words I can't remember. I lost it. But anyway, what these hospitals are doing, and nursing homes too. They think it's a private nursing home. No, it's all over the country. Okay, they got trusts, and they all have to do what headquarters tells them.
Yes.
One place can control every nursing home around, and one hospital can control every hospital around, and they know you. They keep you on record, and it's getting ridiculous. So, 4 or 5 against 1. How can you win? They say that people are so scared of corona that, it was in my water bill, that when the ambulances come, people are dead already because they're too scared to go down to the hospital.
Yes.
They're too scared.
Pat, are you there? Oh, there you are. Okay.
I'm afraid to go to the hospital because they're the ones that kill you. I'm not afraid of the ambulance.
Okay.
So I think that those hospitals should not be allowed to own everything around just because it had a slow turn there. And then you see what they're doing.
Yes.
They're telling people, saying that people had corona. You know what? One of them did. The person went in for something wrong with his arm. They didn't check any of that. And then they send a letter thanking you for bringing for your family member to come in there for the care, in-time care, you die in care. They're lying about everything. It's incredible. And then you're supposed to sign your name that you're thanking them for taking you for your, it's not hospice, but I forgot what they call it. It's some other word. Palliative care. Watch out for that word. If you sign that, you send it back and you said, well, thank you. Well, you don't know what palliative care was. Well, they said you came in here to die. You didn't come there to die. You thought you'd go right back home. Come on. So I think we need to get the antitrust laws against these dudes. Everybody should write a letter to Mike Lee and anybody they can, when they find out who's on that subcommittee, to tell them, you got to stop this crap. You got to stop it. Okay?
Okay.
That's all we say. Okay. Thank you.
All right. Thank you for the phone call, Pat. We're going to let you go now, and we're going to switch over to James in Tokyo. Hello, James. Ohio Gozaimasu. What's on your mind?
Well, first of all, I like your Elvis Presley sideburns, Michael. They look very good on you.
Thank you.
Shaved your mustache and your beard and dyed your hair black, you look just like the king.
Thank you, I think.
I wanted Dave in Boston. It seems kind of pretty anti-Semitic saying Trump is only a 4-year guy and should be playing with his golf balls for the next 4 years. A lot of stuff is coming out right now that Trump is winning all of the switch states. It's going to be a landslide, or if it's not a landslide, at least it's going to be over maybe 40 points from what the Dems do. But the whole anti-Semitic stuff, Trump is best friends with a Jewish guy I know, and his wife is best friends with my Jewish friend's wife. And I actually want to go to Florida pretty soon within the next 2 months, and this guy is going to let me stay in his gym because I'll have to quarantine for 2 months.
Yeah.
I just don't see like how people even can say this kind of stuff. And in addition, I mean, Trump's own daughter is married to an Orthodox Jew. So I think this Dave Boston and him talking this anti-Semitic stuff, and you know, it's kind of sick. And I think he's a sick guy, and you know, and the other half of the time he's just talking about religion. Number two, COVID. I think it's great that Trump got through COVID in 3 days and he has no symptoms. I actually had bronchitis and I thought it was COVID, and I did a COVID test. And because both my kids are celebrities here, and I don't want to hurt their jobs and have to isolate. Yeah. But they also have COVID tests. And I did the COVID test, and I didn't have it, thank God. But I had bronchitis. I got over it in 2 days after the medication. So that was good. So when you talk about vaccinations, I mean, why would you want to do a vaccination if you can get over something that only kills like 99.97% of people, who are younger than you and me, unfortunately. But I just don't see, the whole big deal. I just think it's like a way to control people.
Well, it's certainly being exploited for that, and a lot of people have equated the wearing of face masks with the Mideast habit of having women wear veils as a way of sort of depersonalizing them and kind of attacking their identity. And certainly it's sort of having that effect here in the United States. And everybody, when any crisis comes along, everybody exploits it for their own political agenda. And coronavirus has been politicked, unfortunately not to death because it's still out there. But everybody with an agenda is out there trying to use it. I mean, even the global warming people are saying that COVID-19 came into existence because of human-caused global warming. I mean, that's how ridiculous it gets out there.
It does get ridiculous, except I have to disagree with you about wearing the veils. I mean, in Las Vegas now, one of the most depressed cities in the world, all of the women in the brothels have to wear veils now, and as a result of that, there's a positive thing coming out with it. The next time I go to Vegas, I don't have to pay for the top shelf women in the brothels anymore because they're all covered with masks, and I don't know how they look like. But anyway.
Okay.
The D class with the unredacted stuff. I've been quite disappointed with Dustin and how he always bashes Trump, and then he gets on your show and he says, "I'm not bashing Trump. I'm just," after he bashes Trump for like 10 minutes. But I just want to learn what's in his mind. He's always bashing Trump each and every time that he gets on the air. But
yes.
As far as the unredacted stuff, personally, like me, like everybody else, we've all been waiting to see people go down, to drain the swamp. And I always promise myself personally, if this does not happen, I'm not going to vote for Trump. I'm just going to abstain from voting, period.
Yeah.
But
I'm sure somebody will vote on your behalf in that case.
Yesterday. Well, probably, alive or dead. But at least I can see some kind of hope right now because Trump seems very angry, during his major speeches, he's like, "Watch what happens now," and he's yelling it, and he's quite angry. And I think there might be a glimmer of hope because he's going to do some kind of October surprise, and he's really digging into Joe. Not just because he's going to dig into Joe because of this, because of the unredacted stuff, and to show how he was involved in a coup. And he's going to get into Hunter again. He's going to make Joe go crazy. And I think he's going to keep over talking him to prevent all of the the stuff on the wire going into his ear. And what I think is, I have a feeling that during the next debate, something wild is going to happen. And this is my opinion. And I said it first. He's going to say, "Hey, Joe, what's in your sleeve? Open your coat. What's that wire sticking out?" And he says that, I mean, the whole thing is over.
Well, I think because of the embarrassments on the first debate that whatever Joe had that had the wire sticking out of his jacket, they'll have it tucked in out of sight. I know they refuse to have any kind of examinations for listening aids or radio things. As far as what was on his wrist, it could be a wrist rosary and could therefore be quite innocuous. But we should focus on that very obvious wire that slipped out from under his jacket during the first debate.
Mike, that thing on his wrist, it was either a microphone or it was one of those Spider-Man things that shoot out the spider web.
Well, that would be something to see. Joe Biden slinging across the stage there on his web.
Anyway, hey, that's all I have to say, brother. And I hope you and that lovely harp playing angel are doing well. And you take care, Mike. Great talking to you tonight. Hey, Mike, I got to say one thing. A lot of people give you a lot of credit, but they never give the boy in the control room, Mike. He's a really nice guy, and he's very friendly. And I think a lot of people should give the control room Mike guy a lot of credit for.
Well, that's why I make a point of naming who's in the control room for every show. That's why I make a point of mentioning their name at the start of every show. Whoever's in the control room, to give them a little bit of credit and a little bit of attention, which they definitely do deserve.
That's nice of you. Hey, you have a good night, Mike. Take care.
All right, thanks an awful lot here, and we're going to switch over to Joe in Nome. And Joe, before we even get started, thank you very much for that micro SD card. I downloaded it onto my machine and started looking at a lot of the files earlier today. So what's on your mind?
You remember the movie Iron Sky?
Yes.
Well, it's really getting bizarre now. There's a YouTube channel called Alaska Landmine. They had Senator Dan Sullivan on there and Representative Don Young. And this really bizarre video of Sarah Palin, the protagonist in Iron Sky. Yeah, you thought the movie was strange. Everybody ought to go check out what Sarah Palin's chewing out Lisa Murkowski for not supporting the Supreme Court nomination.
Yes.
But anyway, Alaska politics has always been nuts. Mike Rivero is my hero. He's the one that kept me from getting in the Vietnam War.
We had him on the show years ago.
So what did you think of the flash video of the World Trade Center 7?
I think I've seen that one before, and it does look to be a mirror image of the one shot from the front of the building after the penthouse collapsed. So I think some of the flashes we see in the windows have been added in. I have to be very honest that I think that it was put out there to try and trip people up.
Well, then why was it removed? Well, whatever.
Okay.
I certainly think that the reason why the penthouse is on the right rather than the left is because it's from the other side of the building. It only makes all the sense in the world, but that's just my opinion. Yeah, if you want to see something really freaky, go check out Sarah Palin.
I definitely will. I mean, she was another joke. Unfortunately, we're seeing more and more joke politicians. I mean, like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, the former bartender turned congressional representative. I mean, it's just like, is this the best that we can do?
I know. Yeah, well, I was a long time John McCain basher, but
Yes.
I'm a equal opportunity basher. I'll bash both sides. I'd never support any of them. I'm independent.
Yep.
Anyway, thanks a lot.
All right, thanks an awful lot here. And we're coming up here on another commercial break, so I'm going to hold the next phone call until after we get back from that commercial break. And in the meantime, getting on back to some news here. Apparently, there's the beginning of a backlash against all of this transgender agenda that is being pushed on very young ages. And apparently there's a lawsuit against the Tavistock and Portman NIH Foundation Trust, which runs NIH England's only gender identity clinic for children. And it's a lawsuit saying that we shouldn't be doing this to kids under the age of 18. All right, we're going to take a break for commercials. Back with the phone call after this break.
Broadcasting Network late night premiere show of Red Pill Hardcore is hosted by activists that want to hear from you, the listeners. So that you can get involved in the activism, please call in at 800-313-9443 at 10 p.m. to enter the discussion. To book yourself as a guest, call our studio at 202-657-5715 or contact RBN staff. Remember, keep it real and take the Red Pill.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7, with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
Folks, we're living in a world the likes of which we've never perceived any clearer than we do now. The plan for global governance has been in the works for generations and would have likely been achieved by now, but for the fact that the globalists left open their Achilles heel. With all their tools, Federal Reserve System, fiat currency, no child left behind, and then Common Core education introduced to our schools to dumb us down, vaccines, pharmaceuticals to lobotomize us, GMO foods, insertion of compromised or bought and paid for politicians, judges, mainstream media propaganda, all pieced together like a puzzle designed to ultimately bring the world under submission. But with all their strategy, they forgot one thing: knowledge. And knowledge is power. With knowledge, their bombardment is nullified. Folks, with that, as brilliant and knowledgeable as you've become, among the wisest audience of any radio audience in the world, and you are, I want you to take a moment to reflect and ask yourself, how much of that knowledge did I obtain from Republic Broadcasting Network? How high has my consciousness been raised since I've been a listener? How fast am I now able to discriminate truth from fake news by being a Republic Broadcasting listener? How clear am I now able to see the world since I've been listening to RBN? Ask yourselves those questions, folks. Then ask yourself, what is that knowledge worth to me? Like my morning coffee, how would I survive without it? A voice of truth in a sea of lies. Do we not all need to make sure it survives? Like public broadcasting, we are now finding we can only survive with listener support. Censorship, advertisers being attacked, truth itself being attacked. It's the only way through this. We at Republic Broadcasting humbly ask you to become a supporter. Look at your budget and make a determination of what Republic Broadcasting is worth to you and what you can afford on a monthly basis. Go to republicbroadcasting.org and pledge $20, $30, $40, $50, if possible, $100 a month or more if it's affordable. Click the donate button and become a regular monthly donor. Assure both us and yourself that Republic Broadcasting Truth will continue to flow like that morning coffee. The network thanks you.
Well, they're stealing down on Wall Street and in Washington too. You know, it makes me wonder, what's a guy on Main Street to do? I've always tried to be an honest, upstanding kind of guy. But I must admit lately, I thought about giving something else a try. Oh, I want to be a pirate. I want to sail the seven seas. Yeah, I want to be a pirate.
And welcome back to our show here. We're going to go back to the phones to Mark in North Carolina. Hello, Mark. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind today?
Hey, how you doing here, Mike? I turned you on late today, so I don't know if you covered this already about the Joint Chiefs. They all tested positive for AIDS. I mean, not AIDS, for coronavirus.
I heard they were all in self-imposed quarantine. I didn't realize they'd all tested positive. That's serious stuff.
Yeah, I'm wondering what's going on, Mike. I tell you, I'm very, very suspicious of this whole thing. I don't even know if Trump really came down with this thing or not. I don't know what the deal is. But I don't trust any of these people. I'm wondering whether this might be a prelude for some kind of a war, maybe a sneak attack on China and Russia. Okay, where anything's possible for these madmen. I know if I was leaders of Russia and China, I would be in extreme alert right now. You know, I said, wow, what are these guys up to? Maybe because this is a prelude to war. And that reminds me, I just posted another YouTube video.
Yeah.
Called Let's Make the Terminator Fiction. Let's keep the Terminator fiction. I sent you a copy, by the way, to your phone number. Also.
Okay.
And it's not this because, you know, how our reliance on robots basically could actually either ignite a third world war or actually the robot is over or anything else. And that when you see a lot of these movies like Terminators and the Sarah Connor Chronicles, which I'm watching right now, which is, you know, Sarah Connor, of course, is the mother of John Connor.
Yes.
John Connor, this is a teenager, and they're trying to avoid trying to destroy the Skynet, you know?
Yes.
You know, what's happening. And when we look at it, it looks to me that just as where we're headed. And, you know, I'm wondering whether the Hollywood are part of the global elite. Most of these Hollywood producers, they're either trying to give us a warning they know something, and or the Illuminati has a New World or whatever you want to call them, have a ritual to say before they're going to do something, they're going to tell you about it. Say, here, this is what we're going to do to you, and they have a way of putting it in movies like Terminator and iRobot and The Matrix and a number of other movies these days. And I'm wondering whether this.
Well, Matrix is actually a metaphor for the current world, not a future world, and I think that was the secret of the success of the franchise.
Yeah, but it's basically it all comes to the same thing. Where machines have basically taken over for humans, and this is so dangerous, Mike. With AI, and that's what this whole thing. You watch the Sarah Chronicles. This was made, by the way, 2008, 2009.
Yes.
Just before the invention of the iPhone. When the iPhone came out, about 2011.
I don't actually remember. I remember when they first came out. I got one, and I've been with iPhones ever since.
But I'll tell you what I don't do, Mike. I don't take my phone into any stores with me anymore. Okay, I keep them in a car. I keep them in a secure case, or I turn it off completely. Because I don't want to be tracked. I don't want to be traced. I don't want to be contacted. And I don't want to be tested.
Mm-hmm.
I don't trust these tests. I don't know what they're doing with them. I don't trust any of these people. I do know somebody. I told you last week that I have friends of mine who have caught coronavirus in Texas, prison I used to work in, and they're for the most part recovering. Okay, Matter of
Good.
fact, one of
That's
my
definitely good to hear.
my best friend's mother bought it. And she's 75 years old, and she had a liver transplant. So she's on those drugs that, you avoid,
Yeah.
avoid the body rejecting. She's a prime candidate for death. I hate to put it like that.
Yeah.
She's recovering. Matter of fact, she didn't even have it as bad as he's got it. He's had some trouble breathing. And the reason why I think that there is really now coronavirus, there isn't a total fake, is because it seems like you tend to lose your taste and your smell. I talked to somebody
Yes.
else who had it in March. A guy here in North Carolina, he had it in March. He got over, him and his wife both got it. They got over it in 4 days. He also
Yes.
said he lost a sense of taste and smell temporarily. So, like I said, this is not the end of the world type thing. It's not very small chance it's going to kill you.
It's been overhyped. There's no question.
Yeah. I know Dustin thinks differently, but like I said, he's the kind of guy I think he's probably, maybe I should be doing it. We should always be, maybe we should be covering ourselves under our beds, because if the nukes start going off, okay, that's a lot worse than the coronavirus.
Well, I don't
I'm
think
not
the face
stupid.
masks are going to protect you from nuclear weapons. Anyway, I'm going to have to
No.
let you go, Mark, because we're coming up on another commercial break. And thank you very much for the phone call and the update. We'll be back after these few words from our sponsors.
You are tuned in to the Republic Broadcasting Network. Visit our website by going to republicbroadcasting.org.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
After about a month of Extendovite, I don't know what it is about the circulation factor. I was able to increase the weight, increase the amount of sets I could do. It has to do with the oxygen getting to the blood. You should market this as an athletic performance. And I don't change anything about my diet or anything. I just thought, this is amazing. Bilberry extract is got something called resveratrol in it, which is the same stuff that you get from red wine. It's also good for eyesight. And I was reading that the Royal Air Force during World War II would give their pilots bilberry jam so they could have better night vision stuff. This is amazing.
To order, call 1-877-928-8822. That's 1-877-928-8822, or visit our website at heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
Is your property a financial burden and causing you grief? Have you tried to sell but can't find buyers? Or are you just too busy to sell your property? Don't worry, we have the right solution for you. We buy properties as is, with cash, close in 30 days, and pay all closing costs. Our service is ideal for property owners who are in pre-foreclosure, have high-end repair costs, experiencing financial hardship, going through costly divorces, are relocating, need cash for retirement, suffering family loss, or have tax liens. Whatever your situation may be, we can help you sell your property and get the money you need. If you own a single-family home or multiple family units, call us for a free consultation at 888-910-1037. That's 888-910-1037. Or visit our website at cashingproperty.com. That's cashingproperty.com. Sell your property fast and leave all your worries behind.
Homeowners, if your lender has gone out of business or sold your transaction to another lender or servicer, you may be the victim of a wrongful foreclosure, resulting in the loss of your home. If you've already lost your home, are in foreclosure, or even in good standing, you can challenge the mortgage transaction's illegal issue, and your property can be restored to you, and your foreclosure can be stopped or reversed, and the mortgage transaction declared unenforceable. State laws, U.S. title codes, the Uniform Commercial Codes, and U.S. Supreme Court rulings have upheld that defective mortgage documentations can reverse or stop foreclosures and enforce property title claims in favor of the homeowner. homeowner. We are having successes in stopping the process of foreclosure, the enforcement of the foreclosure judgments, the sale of property, and evictions after the sale. We are not attorneys, and we don't give legal advice. We are a professional team of legal researchers, providing forensic mortgage audits and expert witnesses. We have the knowledge to produce the evidence and enforce laws regarding your legal issues. We've been in business for 12 years without a complaint. Consultations are free, and we provide a free title search to confirm if your mortgage has legal defects. Please call 855-253-3748. 855, the number 2, keep it today.
We will not go down in the night without a fight. You can burn up our mosques and our homes and our schools, but our spirit will never die. We will not go down in Gaza tonight.
Welcome back to our show here, and the phone lines are open, 800-313-9443. And before I took those last few phone calls, I was starting to talk about this transgender, this pressuring of young children to change their gender. And so there's this article about this lawsuit where these two women are suing the Gender Identity Development Service, which is Britain's only NHS gender clinic specifically for children, to ban the prescription of hormone blockers to youth without a court order affirming the treatment is in their best interests. And basically it comes down to children are easily impressed, they're easily misled, they're easily swayed, and they're being told that these hormone blockers are reversible, which is not true. But transitioning youth who take these hormone blockers have a very high likelihood of moving on to cross-sex hormones, which can cause damage like loss of fertility and sexual function, and decreased bone density, which can be very, very serious. So it's, lawyers are arguing that children simply don't have the knowledge and the maturity to make these kind of decisions regarding dramatic changes to their body. And I'm absolutely in agreement. If somebody who's an adult wants to go through this nonsense, that's fine. But to see that children are being pressured, girls are being told you'll have a more successful life if you're a guy. And the big secret that nobody wants to talk about is how many people who've transitioned now want to go back because it just didn't work out. They don't want you to know about that. Okay. All righty. Now then, the 2020 SAT scores are in. And according to Unsilent Science quick calculations today, the Asian to white gap in the average SAT scores increased another 5 points in 2020. Damning indictment of our dumbed down educational system, Common Core, and so forth and so on. Now, we talked about this next part before, but I'm going to mention it again. And this has to do with this discovery in the atmosphere of Venus of a molecule called phosphine, which indicates potential microbial life, and was recently discovered, back in September 14th. They made the announcement that phosphine might indicate microbial life. They didn't have another explanation for it. It had been detected in the clouds above Venus, and there are no known natural processes that could explain the finding of this gas. Well, it turns out that Rakesh Mogul, who's a biochemist at Cal Poly Pomona in California, and his colleagues found signatures of phosphine were detected by the Pioneer 13 probe, which reached Venus orbit in December 1978. Now, all of you remember Pioneer went out to Jupiter and Saturn, and it's got the plaque on it with the nude couple and this message to other planets. And they say, Venus, what's it doing in Venus? Well, it did a gravity slingshot around Venus to get out there to Jupiter and Saturn. And while it was there, it took a peek at Venus and apparently discovered the signature of phosphine. So the proof of life may have been there staring NASA in the face, and they just ignored it. Kind of like the labeled release experiment on the Viking landers on Mars. Okay, phone lines are open, 800-313-9443. All right, astronauts on board the International Space Station have received an 8,000-pound cargo that includes fancy meats and cheeses, along with a $23 million toilet, which is designed to be easier to use by the female crew members. And apparently they're going to keep this cargo ship as a new module, is the last part that I heard on this thing. But apparently they have gourmet foods like Genoa salami, smoked Gouda, chocolate-covered cranberries, and it's great. It's one thing when an astronaut's only going to be in space for a few days to give them that freeze-dried stuff and tang and whatnot. But when they're up there for months on end, you got to treat them right. You got to let them have some creature comforts here. Okay, SpaceX has launched the 13th batch of their Starlink satellites. They launched them yesterday following a 2-week delay due to bad weather. The 2-stage Falcon 9 rocket blasted off from pad 39A at the Kennedy Space Center, hauling a full stack of 60 Starlink satellites. 9 minutes later, the booster's first stage came back to Earth, landing on one of SpaceX's drone ships in the Atlantic Ocean. Okay, we're going to take a phone call now from Bruce in Texas. Hello, Bruce. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hey there, Mike. You hear me okay?
I can hear you fine. You're on the air.
Great. I'm going to go to NASA here at Johnson Space Center. I'm moved towards Houston now.
Yeah.
I'm going to go check it out. They have a SpaceX rocket there on display.
Well, they should. I mean, that public-private partnership is working out pretty well so far.
There's people like Fetzer. I mean, I don't know what his intentions are. He's really on the ball with some things, but other things like the Apollo, it's all fake. Well, why would the Russians go through the trouble with the N1 space program? Have you ever looked up and looked into their program? That thing was huge, and
yes,
they exploded 2 of them off the pad and killed a lot of people,
including the head of their own space program, Korolev, I think his name was.
Yeah, you know that story. He went out. He wanted to watch it take off, and then a bunch of engineers or whoever went out to join him, and then they got obliterated.
They got a real close-up look at it.
Yeah. And so it's implausible, And how many missions made it around or to the moon?
You mean manned or unmanned?
Manned.
Well, the manned missions were Apollo 11 through Apollo 16 minus Apollo 13.
Yeah, Apollo 13 still transversed the Van Allen radiation belt. So.
Well, actually, they exploited a gap in it. I've got sent a lot of articles about this where, the Van Allen belt is not a solid, circumferential object, that there are gaps in it. Caused by the magnetic field of the Earth. And basically, the Apollo spacecraft just all aimed for that. That's not to say that the Apollo astronauts were not exposed to radiation. They were certainly exposed to radiation on the surface of the moon. And a lot of them suffered health consequences because of it. But it was a choice they made to risk these health issues in order to make that trip to the moon. It's like I explained to a caller yesterday, when you travel by commercial jetliner, you're exposed to more of the radiation from space than if you stayed on the ground. But it's a risk you accept in order to get from point A to point B.
Right, and if you live in higher elevations too, it's the same thing.
Same thing, yes.
Yeah, have you ever felt this phenomenon when there's a sunspot or some kind of a solar flare? I've been woken up a couple of times through my life. It's not like a loud gunshot goes off or something. You're startled awake. Some people report seeing like spots or something like that. And I just brushed it off as, who knows what it was, until I read an article it was about a space station astronaut who reported the same thing, and they attributed it to a solar flare.
Well, the interesting thing is, even with all the shielding on the space station and even on the Apollo spacecraft, the radiation was intense enough to create spots of light in their eyes. When these high energy particles would hit the retina, the retina would respond as if it had received a photon of light. And they would report seeing these spots of light appearing and disappearing in front of their eyes. Now, I understand that there is one module on the International Space Station that has extra heavy shielding, which is where the astronauts all go when there is a solar flare.
I'd be interested to hear a debate between you and Dr. Fetzer over the issue, but I know it'll never happen.
Well, we had Dr. Fetzer on the show at one point, but he and I have kind of parted ways over this issue of the Apollo mission. And I mean, for all the money that was spent and all the people who worked on it and all the engineering that was accomplished, why not go to the moon? I mean, very clearly they built the capability.
Right. And you also have this other thing that people, there's a few of them out there, and you'll find them on different forums. I think it's a coordinated effort. It's information or muddying the waters. People who say that nukes are fake.
Yeah, well, you know, there's a lot of, propaganda organizations dump a lot of really dumb, crazy stuff on the internet to try and kookify it and tarnish its image as an information source. And it's funny you should be calling in regarding Apollo, because I've gotten a flood of email lately, trying to convince me that the Apollo moon landings never happened. But these people obviously forget. I actually worked on one of the missions post-mission. When the material came back from the moon, I got to work on those. And there would have been no point in my actually having that job if it had all been fake.
Yeah, no Bucks Rogers. Remember that line
Yes.
from the right stuff? Yeah, so I wouldn't put it past them to have some PR images of ground training or what have you fed to the public, the Congress, as being from the moon. I've heard that there are some discrepancies with the photographs.
Well, I've heard of a lot of this stuff here. I mean, I've seen the video, or rather the motion picture film, 16mm movie, where one of the astronauts is walking past the flag and the flag waves just a little bit and everybody says, see, there's air, it's on a soundstage. But they forget the top little unit on the portable life support system was the ice water sublimator, and it was constantly venting, and that's what hit the flag. Again, besides which, you need to realize that a lot of nations are up at the moon now, including nations who do not like us very much, and many of them have imaged the Apollo landing sites. So as far as I'm concerned, that pretty much is a lock on that whole argument. And don't forget that at each of the Apollo landing sites, there is a retroreflector, the laser ranging retroreflector. It's a set of quartz corner cube prisms, very precisely made, that you can bounce a laser beam off from here on Earth. It hits the retroreflector on the moon, comes back to Earth for very precise distance measurements. And when the Mythbusters took on this myth of the Apollo landings being faked, they went to an observatory and duplicated that experiment. And by the way, I did that experiment myself when I worked at the Table Mountain Observatory many years ago.
Okay. All right. I'm going to email you with a thing that I have on the reason the moon is in a phased orbit, where one side always faces the Earth.
Yes, because it's lopsided.
Well, they crash landed a booster on it. They did the seismographs. They discovered that it was hollow.
No. There was seismographic data that, when the lunar module took off from the moon and carried the astronauts back up to the command module, once it was empty, they intentionally crashed the lunar module ascent stage back onto the moon in order to generate signals for the seismographs left at the Apollo landing sites to pick up. And no, the moon is not hollow.
Well, that's what I saw.
Well, if the moon was hollow, it wouldn't even have the 1/6 gravity that we see on its surface. It would be much, much less than that. You could jump your way into lunar orbit if that were the case.
Okay, I'll let you go.
All right. Thanks an awful lot here. Okay. The phone lines are open again, 800-313-9443. Speaking of astronomy and getting into some science news for everybody, if you have a telescope here, Mars has reached its closest point to Earth in the last 17 years. Now, it does this every 2 years, but not every close approach is equal. The distances can vary by millions of miles, but this time, Mars will come 38.6 million miles from Earth, which means if you have a decent telescope, you're going to be able to take a really, really good look at it. And this is the closest approach since 2003, when Mars was 34 million miles away, the closest in 60,000 years. It won't be that close again until the year 2287. And I'm going to go out and look at Mars tonight because I don't think I'm going to be around in 2287 here. Okay, and we have meteorites here. The Orionids are this month, so you might want to keep an eye on that. All right, getting on over to plug-in hybrid vehicles. Now, hybrid cars are, cars that have both electric and gasoline motors, and the gasoline generator to charge the batteries for the electric motors. And these vehicles are powered by this electric motor using a battery that is recharged by being plugged in or via the onboard gasoline or diesel engine. And they account for 3% of new car sales. And they're sold on this idea that they're environmentally clean and they're good for the environment and so forth and so on. But analysis from pressure groups Transport and Environment and Greenpeace suggests they emit an average of 120 grams of carbon dioxide per kilometer. Now, this compares with the 44 grams per kilometer in official laboratory tests. Remember the scandal a while back when Volkswagen altered the software in the car to get mileage numbers that were more suitable to politicians? This looks like to be a repeat of the same thing. Okay, now, according to scientists at MIT and a startup that was spun out of MIT, they're saying that nuclear fusion could be closer than previously thought. They're currently working on a nuclear fusion experiment, and they're saying they're confident they're going to create a hot burning plasma that will produce more energy than consumed to generate the fusion reaction. So this would be great if it happens. It would be cheap electricity, zero emission. No toxic leftover nuclear waste to have to worry about. And I know they've made great strides in China. They achieved break even on one of their experimental reactors. We know that Russia made some progress with the tokamaks, but being able to actually bring this down to an industrial level and make it usable for the power utilities, that would be absolutely amazing. Okay, we're coming up here on a commercial break. And we'll be back with the last segment of our program after these few words.
Here at Republic Broadcasting Network, we have been building our online store. Well, we have been focusing on bringing you the best talk show host in the country. Here at Republic Broadcasting Network, we also want our listeners to have products they can use every day and in times of emergency. We have added new products each week to our store. Your support of this network, plus products at the best prices, is a win-win situation. Check out our new store. Go to our website, republicbroadcasting.org, and click on the online store located at the top of our website. Together, we can continue to grow RBN and help our listeners prepare for the future. Go to republicbroadcasting.org and click on our online store or call us.
800-724-2719 extension 3. 800-724-2719 extension 3.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
Extendovite really works. Here are some reviews from Amazon.com. John Hess, 5 out of 5 stars. Awesome. Probably my only review, but at age 40, I was getting bad heartthrob and left arm pain, mainly before bed. I even stopped smoking and drinking sodas for a month, and that didn't work. After one day of taking Extendivite, it was gone and hasn't returned in 3 years. I've ordered Extendivite 13 times, so Amazon just said. Juliet Hordick. I've ordered this product before in liquid form. It is fantastic. My whole family's been on it. To order, call 1-877-928-8822. That's 1-877-928-8822, or visit our website at heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
Hey, honey, I'm home. I grabbed a newspaper on the way home. Look at all the news today.
Don't you know that all you're going to get in the newspaper is propaganda, twisted news, and false information?
Honey, this is a national newspaper. It has to be true.
Ha! For some reason, the majority of the population believe anything the mainstream media tells them. The newspaper doesn't give out the important attention of what's happening to this country and news that affects our daily lives. Say, does that newspaper mention anything about the North American Union?
No, not that I can see.
I didn't think so. You need to go to www.newswithviews.com, where truth is more important than political correctness. That's www.newswithviews.com. Hey, don't throw that away. We can use that in the birdcage.
Okay, move over. Let me start reading newswithviews.com.
The truth? Read all about it at newswithviews.com. Newswithviews.com, where reality shatters illusion.
What this country is coming to, I sure would like to know. If they don't do something by and by, the rich will live and the poor will die. Doggone, the panic is on. Can't get no way, can't draw no pay. Unemployment getting worse every.
And welcome back to our show here, last segment of our program today. Now, back in 2017, South Korea's President Moon Jae-in initiated his plan to phase out nuclear power and halt all reactor construction projects in the country connected to the power grid. But apparently this did not affect South Korea's commercial nuclear development industry. And apparently South Korean-built key nuclear components will be used in the United States as part of efforts to introduce further safeguards at U.S. facilities. The cutting-edge new miniature design was previously described in Forbes as a reactor that doesn't need the complex backup power systems that traditional reactors require, and which won't melt down or otherwise cause any of the nightmares people think about when imagining the worst for nuclear power. It sounds to me like it's a radioisotope thermoelectric generator, which is a safe form of nuclear power. And apparently, over in Japan, several of the large conglomerates there are now making these. It's not something everybody can buy, but they're ideal for remote locations where you don't want to be constantly supplying gasoline for generators like Arctic or Antarctic outposts and things like that. But they do exist and they are available, and you have to go through a whole licensing process to have and use one. But they really are ideal, and RTGs are very safe. They don't melt down. They just sit there and they just decay, and the radioisotope decay produces heat. Thermocouples transfer that heat into electricity. Same system that was used on Viking, Curiosity, and I presume Perseverance here. Okay, China is spending $3.3 billion US on molten salt nuclear reactors for faster aircraft carriers and in flying drones. Now, what they're talking about here is the primary coolant loop. In most reactors, it's water, it's under pressure, it's sealed off, but there's a limit to how much heat it can carry. And the molten salt, on the other hand, can carry more heat. And molten salt reactors produce 1,000th of the radioactive waste of current nuclear reactors because of the deep burn in the core, more complete conversion of the nuclear fuel. And molten salt reactors can have designs that are proof against meltdowns. The Chinese reactors could use thorium. China has some of the world's largest reserves of thorium metal. So they're making some huge progress there. Now, there is a downside to molten salt reactors, just like there was a downside to the sodium reactor. If they do shut down, that primary loop solidifies, and there's no way to get it going again. And the Russian Navy discovered that one the hard way, as it were. Okay, we mentioned this yesterday. China became the first nation to grow something on the moon, in this case, cotton, and it grew 2 leaves before it died of the cold. But way to go, China. All righty, well, there's the end of our show here. Stay tuned for John Stadmiller. I'm sure he's got lots of interesting things to share with you. Please spread the word of Republic Broadcasting on social media. Spread the word of whatreallyhappened.com. Please donate. We need new equipment to keep doing what we're doing. We'll be back tomorrow. Aloha, America.